So last week I didn't really execute a lot, but it was because at first I was looking for a sales setup because I was looking for dollar strength. But then it's like something came out on Sunday in the news, like it wasn't like a news event like a unemployment or anything like they put out on the calendar, but it was just something I had saw on TV. So when the market had spiked up and I knew I was looking for a dollar, I was looking for dollar buys and asset sales, but then assets shot up and the dollar came down a little bit. I saw what happened on Sunday. I was like, that could be manipulation, but the only thing we entered, in the other group was going to be oil sales because it would have went with assets, right? So it was a matter of me kind of regaining control because I knew what I was looking for the week, and then it's like I'm not making a bias, for no reason going into 10 years at the end of the day. So it's like after all the results that I've had, it's like I trust myself enough to know if I was looking for sales and I saw that on TV, I had it in the back of my mind because what they show on TV is not what's actually happening out there, if that makes sense. But at the same time, it's like I had to acknowledge that. I'm like, oh, that looked like that war started back up again. But if the war is starting back up again, technically the dollar would come down. But then so the dollar actually started coming down. But I say, but that also could be manipulation because typically when we get levels of supply and demand, price always happens to be at that level when news comes out. So I saw the reality of we could have got a manipulation, but I don't know. I try to trade with the trend. So if I'm looking for a buy setup, I'm looking for a buy setup. If I know I'm looking for a buy on the dollar and it's only giving me ascending wedges, I'm like, oh, that's kind of suspicious. Let me just wait. And then I waited and waited and waited. And then the week, ended and I didn't execute really outside of the oil sales. But oil, we were up like 50, 40, $50, but it wasn't enough. I say like, sometimes we have to pass up a certain number to even get to the other numbers because it's not just one straight shot. It's not like we upload 50 to 100 in account and it goes straight to 100K. But it's not just in trading that the world is like this, like positives and negatives, buys and sales, left and right, up and down. It's everything in the world. And I think the only issue between everyone's trading is how do they relate it to real world so they understand how to approach it in life. So if I knew that we were missing the accounts, not even by a few days. Like we uploaded this summer like $240. I just uploaded yesterday, so this will be $340. So I uploaded that for the summer, but it's just like it's a matter of when and the timing is what I always knew. I always knew I never knew the timing at the end of the day. So I'm just waiting, but I still have to execute at my highest, and that's what keeps me aligned. So it's like when I saw that the market wasn't giving me what my bias was, I know I'm not a fickle trader to where, oh, I see it making ascending wedges on the dollar, but I'm looking for a reason to buy because I don't know how long this series of ascending wedges were going to last. It really is just a switch in the mindset at the end of the day. But everyone's mindset is different. I guess, you know how in school people, would take tests and they would have us memorize things for the test. But after the test, it's like a matter of you can forget this topic trading. And now that I'm thinking about it, is that one where you can't do that because it's not just supply and demand. It's everything as a whole: market structure of the market, technical analysis, fundamental analysis, different phases of fundamental analysis, emotional intelligence. But emotional intelligence, that aspect, you know how everyone say you don't have an issue until you have a health issue. Okay, naturally, and even me, I'm guilty of it too. People think of a health issue as in being an actual physical issue, like with the body. But mental health, spiritual health, financial health, it's all the same health. Especially with what happened to my mom at the top of the year, it brought me into making sure I nurture myself spiritually more. So it made even more sense in the market because top of the year, we're doing really good in the market, but it's different phases of buying and bears and bulls. But life is like that too. Businesses is like that. So people got to think of it as in how do assets work? Walmart's been around, since before time. Target's been around since before time. They're not mom and pop companies. They're companies that's been here for over a period of decades. So we have to look at how they're structured, right? They're not a straight shot either. They're not always making profits. So it's just like with Walmart, not every single day it's going to be a profit day. Sometimes they have sales to where they're making less profit than what it is normally, but they're typically on an uptrending aspect of, the family for generations is going to make money. So you can say that their stock is always going to be in a constant uptrend. It's just a matter of seasons. And me personally, I'm not someone that really plants seeds and like not plant seeds in a spiritual way because I do it in business all the time, but I don't garden, if that makes sense. Like I was never able to keep a plant alive. So so that's me personally, but I think about it even in that aspect. Not every single season is a harvest season, but quarter is not a buy or a sell, but it just depends on that aspect. But we have to stay aligned with our thought process and our approach time and time again. But new traders, unless y'all have a result, it's hard for y'all to have that like way of thinking on the approach because you don't have the results to back it up yet. But the results to back it up and my students' results is what makes my conviction stronger, to where it's just like in the dry season is when I built this, system in order to guide the rest of the world. And it's actually pretty cool because now I'm thinking, why does no one else have the system? Because everything is built now. Now it's just a matter of executing and executing the best. Because trading isn't going anywhere at the end of the day. Trading is only going to get more popular because of inflation. People have to find a way to beat inflation, or at least find a way to make more money if they're not thinking about it in the inflation aspect, because that's how I was back in the day. I wasn't able to pay my bills. I wasn't able to take care of my family. People are not just getting into trading to learn how to trade. They're getting into trading to take care of their families. But in order to take care of their families, they have to learn a set of rules. But once you learn that set of rules, that's the rules in place. Just like in government, they're not just going to say, hey, arson is legal. Arson is forever going to be illegal. They don't change it just because oh, that's crazy. They don't change the law just because the person breaking the law, whether it was intentional or not of them breaking it, they don't change the law. So now it's a jury. That's crazy. That's a jury of peers that decide at what level you get punished at. And that's exactly what the market is doing. So it's just like, okay, I understand the market is buying and selling, but what's the series of buys and sells? All right, well, first we got to understand what the rules of uptrend is and the rules of a downtrend in order for me to consider this a low. So it's like a series of rules, but it's a compound. It's a compound of the rules. We're compounding the account. Sometimes, say somebody break into your house and thou shalt not kill, but that person get killed. That person shouldn't have been in the house in the first place. And that's exactly the approach I take to the market. It's situational. Every situation is a different situation. Somebody that went out their way to take somebody off this earth is going to be punished at a different level than someone that did it in the source of defending themselves or having to do it. But it's still the same thing at the end of the day. The market only buys and sells. But where is your mindset at the end of the day in addition to the rules? Where is your emotional trading in addition to the rules? What is your emotional intelligence level in this relationship with your finances? Because people understand emotional intelligence when it comes to dating, but the emotional intelligence, physical health, emotional health, mental health, and financial health, it's all the same health. It never changed just because we're talking about just a different level of structure. Like we're comparing it to a relationship to business. Okay, when I first started going to church, it was back in like 2017, but I wasn't really going like that. I was going inconsistently because my life was inconsistent. But I grew up in a religious family. I wasn't necessarily religious, but I understand right from wrong, but I don't let it run my life. That's exactly what trading is. Us in these Bitcoin sales works out great because you see how this it's this weekly chart. You see how the weekly chart's right there? You see those series of ascending wedges, and you see that we're on the higher time frame. Now watch this. This right here is the daily chart, and then what is this right here? You see that?
Yeah.
What's it
Ascending.
called?
Still ascending wedge.
Yeah, and what's this one called?
Ascending.
Yes. Does the ascending wedge change just because it's in a different spot?
No.
It's still an ascending, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then ascending goes with what? An uptrend or a downtrend?
Down.
Okay, down, cool. So every single time I'm looking for a reason to sell, I should be selling off of a descending wedge or ascending wedge.
An ascending wedge.
Hey, okay, now we're on a 4 hour time frame. What's this over here?
That's a descending.
No, no, no. Look at it again. Hang on, I'll help you.
Still ascending wedge.
Yes, yes. It's just in a different spot. The manipulation comes when it takes out this high, but still closes within it in this spot right here. But that's the trick. Not only what I said right there, but a series of time frames that you have to remember the rules on But that's why emotionally you have to control yourself, because on the 4 hour chart, I could consider this a anticipated descending wedge, right? But a
Uh-huh.
descending wedge is a rule of what?
An uptrend.
Yes, but now it's just a matter of which one do I believe the most, because a descending wedge, is this a descending wedge right here?
Yeah.
And then what about this one? Is this a descending wedge?
Yeah, it's decent.
And every single one of them leads to a pop up.
Uh-huh.
Now, if I take it to the monthly chart, is this a descending wedge right here?
Yeah.
And then it led to a pop up, a big one. But it's a
Yeah.
series of descending wedges within the uptrend. So a series of dry seasons in the harvest season. Walmart don't just shut down just because they have on a bad day. The market over time, the assets don't stop going up just because we're going through a certain season of turmoil at the end of the day. That's how I think about it. So now, let's do it like this. If I was to connect the dots, typically the only thing I didn't understand as a new trader was I would start my trend line here and try to guide it up, and that's where I would fuck up. Because just because this is a low and this is a low and this is a low doesn't mean I have to start at the first initial low. That makes sense?
Yes.
I have to try to make it fit in a line as best as possible, because as many times as it touches a certain level, like here, 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 and here, is not perfect, but it's situational, it's conditional. But a break of this here, okay, this is a descending wedge, and what does this look like?
The descending. No,
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 no, ascending.
yeah, ascending. Yeah,
Ascending.
because we're on the higher time frame, so it's more extended. So we're looking at this ascending wedge here, and then we got to
Mm-hmm.
break a structure saying the uptrend is now changing into a downtrend. So any ascending wedge, a potential, from a high point, is going to give you a reason to sell off. So every single ascending wedge at some point is the highest point that market, has been, and is going to potentially, depending on the time frame, sell from that high. That's the same approach that I take to these account flips, but I'm using the market's rules against each other. I personally won't consider buying this until we break over this descending wedge on the higher time frame, just like we did this ascending wedge on the higher time frame, because the time frame's importance is the same consistently. Your 1 minute, 5 minute, 15 minute, 1 hour, those are your entry time frames. If you execute and enter on the 4 hour, daily, weekly, monthly, you're gonna have more drawdown. But having drawdown is a matter of controlling your emotional intelligence, because you don't know exactly when something is gonna go, or everyone would be richer than they already are if we knew exactly when it's gonna happen. You gotta be able to weather the storm. I was thinking about this the other day too. I was like, if God is so good, not questioning him, but I was just wondering, why are there like homeless people and people that go through bad things? Because it don't matter if you good, you living a good life or a bad life, everyone's gonna go through turmoil. Someone's turmoil is gonna be more severe than others, but it's because of the level of growth that they're at. They stopped in the storm and the shit only got worse from there. So that's what they have to understand. It's a level of compounding to where shit gets so good to where you're constantly in an uptrend. But in this case and scenario, until we break over this level of structure, I'm more likely to be in a downtrend, because these higher time frames run the entire market until we completely cross over. But then it's aspect of multiple time frame analysis, because it's still buying and selling. There's no third answer. And it's like if they stop in the storm, it's going to be a series of lower lows and lower highs. So when I compound and I'm matching the time frames, I know the rules of an uptrend. I know the rules of a downtrend. That doesn't change. The only thing that changes is my emotions throughout the day. But that emotions throughout the day is similar to the systems in business. I don't feel like always posting and doing stuff, and I don't always post and say something online, but my automations will do it for me. It's already pre-posted the clips, because if I have to give my tits and do free content on YouTube, then I might as well clip it as well, and it automatically gets sent out on a day-to-day basis without me having to do all the extra work. But that's a matter of working smarter and not harder. But the market works the same way. When I made my first million, I was working hard for it because I didn't know the appropriate aspect. I was waking up every single US session, but that was a 2019 market. We're in like a 2018 market. but the consistency was the same throughout. So no matter what, it just changed the way that I grew, I guess, as a trader. But the consistency was every single U.S. session, I would just buy the market because that was what the market was doing. And I wasn't articulate in my trading back then. I just knew this worked yesterday. Let me do it again today, but not fully understanding the rules. January 2019, I had child support court. Between January and May is when I made my first million. But it was a series of me already trading heavier pairs and then trading SPX 500. But then I had got a ticket that year too. I think it was in like March. It was in Flower Mound. It's broad daylight on a Sunday, and this officer pulled me over for no fucking reason. But I went to court. I remember going to court that day, and I was up $60,000 on SPX 500 because he talking about, oh, it looked like you were hiding from me. This is Flower Mound, Texas. I'm not saying it's like a white town. It's a lot of white people out there. It's broad daylight. I'm in a fishbowl. I had a Nissan Altima, and he talking about I'm hiding in a lane all the way the fuck over here from him. I'm not hiding from you. You're looking at me. You see my tags is out. I don't care. You just wanted a reason to pull me over, and you follow me over here. Nobody hiding from you. But the importance was he gave me a weak ass ticket, and then I slapped $60,000 in the next 2 weeks on SPX 500. So I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Look, the world looking out, but it was a matter of me studying and being consistent. But I wouldn't have thought the way that I'm thinking now while I was in the storm at the end of the day, because it's not a thought that I would able to get myself through myself. It's me over time understanding and looking back on everything that I've been through and understanding that shit just work out. Because there was a time that I used to put like $5 a day on Green Mountain Energy because the electricity was high as shit. And my electricity would go out, I swear to God, every fucking night. Every night I would come home from serving tables at Cheddar's. This is after I got fired from Papa though, because I'm fighting with Justin also. He was a curse. Man, so I know to look, stay away from him, because anytime I'm around him, bad shit happened to me. But in the market, anytime the market is coming down, it's going to present itself on an ascending wedge. The ascending wedge is the rules of a downtrend. It don't matter what time frame it presents. Now, which time frames together make this answer up? But I would have never seen myself talking on YouTube or anything really, because this is all new. I just started wanting to talk. But I don't know. It's a series of compounding. But now look at the 4-hour chart. You see this descending wedge? How we talked about it? The 4-hour chart is confusing to the 1-hour chart, but I don't need the 4-hour chart because the daily chart and the weekly chart already match. Looking at the 1-hour chart, it's an entry time frame. The 4-hour chart would just help me with bias, but we already got the best 2 out of 3. The 4-hour chart is going to flip more often than the other time frames. So last week, Monday through Friday last week, I was looking for a sale, and we were in sales. So this was Monday, and then this was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. What's that? Sunday? Yeah, Sunday. So we entered here, and we had caught a little bit of the sale right here. We really caught a descending wedge, and then it popped up. But we got a descending wedge here. These two time frames aligned. All it did was retest underneath this high. You see this high right here?
Mm-hmm.
It's retesting under a previous lower low. Watch this. I was drawing this last night too. Watch this. This is crazy. I was like, I know you lying. We did get manipulated last week. I did see what I saw. I thought we were going to reject. I think it was like this level right here. Oh, I think it was that actually. Let me look at that real quick. You see how I'm changing my perspective each time I see something, and then I try to go get more information. But we had to been like a flag. So it was either this flag or this flag here, or a wick. Now, so you could say the 1-hour chart, 15-minute chart, 30-minute chart, 5-minute, and 1 minute. You could say that's just to get more details. But that's why they're the entry time frames. But in order to even care about those time frames, you got to understand how to enter. It's a game of Suckbud, because it's like as soon as you say yellow, you start seeing yellow cars. So it's just, but it takes some emotional training, because it's just I wasn't as strict as I am now in the way that I follow the rules, but it's because of the result that I get. It's better every single year. Now, me personally, the systems that I built, I wouldn't have wanted to introduce it to the world in this kind of season. But I didn't know there would be this kind of season, I'm talking about. But that's the timing of it all, because every year I'm trading with someone full time. It's just a matter of the person changes. but every year I get the same result. But the person last year I'm trading with, he wasn't comfortable with not knowing what's going to happen in the future. When I made a plan last week on what I was going to do in the market, that was me predicting the future. So I kind of saw a vision. I saw a preview of what I wanted to happen. Once the market started making higher highs and higher lows, and I'm looking for lower lows and lower highs, it's almost like I became blind because I couldn't see in the dark. But instead of executing more, I executed less. So I regained control, took a step back from the market, let it do what it do. Oh, that's what I was going to show you. And now you see this? You know how the series of M's and W's?
Mm-hmm.
What's the M? Is that a buy or a sell?
The M are cells.
Yes, yes. And that's exactly what it's doing. First leg, first leg, ascending. Second leg, descending. Third leg, ascending. We gotta anticipate to make money in this market because people gotta be comfortable with holding. You're not gonna maximize your profits if you don't believe the story. If you do not believe the story the market is telling you, you're not gonna be able to make money in the market. So now we got, what is this? Is this a breaker structure on an ascending wedge right there? I know you lying. It's breaking structure, breaking structure, breaking structure, breaking structure. At some point, when all these time frames align, when high enough fundamental events happen, the market is just going to choose a side and it's just going to go. But people like to hindsight 2020. Oh, I would have loved to be in this move over here. I would have loved to be in this move here. I would have loved to be in this one, this one, this one. If you're not used to holding for more than an hour, you was never going to be in that move. That move is a part of your imagination. It's never happening because you have to train yourself in the mind before it happens. And I never know when something's going to happen. The other guy, he knew he had 200 or $100 that on profit. He wasn't okay with not knowing what the path was going to be. But now turn it around. My mom was an undiagnosed schizophrenic. I didn't know what the path was going to be at all. I didn't even know she was crazy. But I would go to school and I would try to tell my teacher something is off, because it was like an abusive household. I would try to tell them something's off. But how do they know that I'm different than the other kids and they just hate their parents? Because we know teenagers, so on and so forth. So how do you know? They can't take me seriously because she's able to act normal in front of people that are not familiar with the way she normally acts. But if you know her, you can see something is off. That is an aspect of what I did last week. If I knew something was off, I saw something on TV. I didn't see what I wanted to see. I waited. Now I see what I want to see. The bias doesn't change. The week I execute, the bias change. The patience is what's going to help me go further in trading. And then the trading account, starting with a small account, that is your risk management. If that makes sense, because if I'm dealing with $100,000 account or a $500,000 account or a multiple $1 million account, it's a different approach to risk management. But I'm never going to have that much really just in one broker because I'm able to turn small money into big money. And if that broker shuts down, they decide they don't want to fucking pay me. I've had that happen before. Somebody decided they don't want to pay me. Then there's no bad blood because I started that fucking account with $100. But in addition to that, it's just not that. A 50 to 100 is all I had to work with in the beginning when I first started. So I had to learn how to manage the money that I had at the time I had it, whether I knew the rules completely or not. That's exactly what's going on in the market. That's what strengthens my conviction. I never knew what was going to happen. They didn't believe me. But since they didn't believe me, the rest of the world doesn't believe me. But now the rest of the world, I got results. I got evidence. I got proof. I didn't have proof back then. I didn't know to look for proof and give proof to people. I know to give people proof now. So now it's just a different aspect of people don't believe in something until they have proof. But now that I've shown you proof over and over and over again, and then the systems, the technology is only getting better. We're only growing as a company. Now I'm just thinking you're slow because most people, okay, if I'm just talking on my ass, I don't have proof. It's not there in front of me. It's not recorded. Okay, I see why they're in denial about what is going on in the situation or what the result is or if it was done or not. Who do you trust? But now it's like, who do you trust comes to a bigger stage now and with the system I have than what it was back then because it's a matter of me advancing my technology. But me advancing technology would only come from a series of curiosity. But even me starting to trade only started with a series of curiosity. Curiosity took me further enough to understand the rules because which low do I buy, what time frame am I on, what's my conviction. They don't have conviction because they don't understand the real world approach to trading. It doesn't make sense to them. People understand traveling, but they don't understand Forex. Forex is traveling. We just in the crib time traveling to other countries. Because who are we in this world? But to even understand what the world is, you got to understand who you are. And you know what I was thinking about the other day? It's just like people have a particular way that they want to trade because they're a particular person. And in my 20s, I used to give a fuck about who they were as a trader, to be individual. But to me, if you don't have, you haven't earned the right to be your own trader yet. You know what I'm talking about? That's how I see it because it's like a
Mm-hmm.
sensei kind of thing. It's like people love Karate Kid. They see this nigga sweeping. They see him taking the jacket on and off. They wondering why he doing it too. But he know why he doing it because it's training his reflexes. And but that's where it goes back to spiritually. It's not just physical health. They got to work on the health of everything because part of trading people don't say is it is spiritual as well because you got to gain a bigger conviction behind it. So it's just like people like to see other people do miraculous things and build things, but they don't understand the aspect of it's a constant level of a series of thought processes, a series of curiosity to get to this answer, trial and error. But the trial and error doesn't stop the curiosity. So we go even further because we're curious how far it can go. In trading, people don't have that thought process, so they're making the same amount of money every year, time and time again. I'm able to get, I feel like I'm getting better at the account flip every time. I'm doing it more often, but I'm also getting the accounts to bigger sizes. But it's because of the curiosity approach. I didn't want it to be in a losing season, preferably because that's me, that's ego. I'm Christian. If I take it to God, and I know that he gives me what I need, not what I want, just like we do kids, then if y'all met me in a winning season, it would have been more of a Great Depression if y'all saw me blow accounts like I've been blowing accounts. Does that make sense? Because y'all would have seen me at the highest of highs, but every single high is a reason to sell. So after flipping all those accounts last year, we building a system, but building a system in a bad season and learning while you're at a low point in your life is rock bottom. Every single low in an uptrend is a rock bottom. You grow from it or your ass starts selling from the bottom. And but you got to be able to identify the bottoms to even know where you are. Ooh, in 2020, you remember when I told you that Florida dude, he was I think he was Cuban, but he was closing $1 million trades on US 30, and I had asked him like because he was holding for like a year. I was like, "What's your conviction behind like holding so long?" The way that I'm able to articulate the one sentence he gave me now is he was only able to tell me one sentence back then, but because I'm so curious and because I saw the result, he said, understand where you are in the market. But that's probably all he knew how to say as the articulation because we were cool, so he wouldn't gatekeep that, but understand where you are in the market. Now I'm able to give you the, how do you say, the micros and the macros of who you need to be to grow in order to be the specific person to get this result. But understand who you are and understand who you need to be and understand the rules of an uptrend and understand fundamentals and technicals. But unless people like compounding, unless people like rabbit holes, they're never going to get to that point. So your thought process has to be the same approach over and over and over and over again. And understand nothing on these lower time frames can outdo what these higher time frames are set up to do because it's a series of time. Time is the true blessing. And you gotta have like a one-track mind. So check this out. So every time I approach the market on any time frame, on any asset class, I can absolutely see a reason to buy and sell. It's a matter of which one do I acknowledge, though. That is the difference. I am a one track mind. I'm extremely black and white, but I was already kind of like that before I started trading. Trading just kind of put me more in tune with it. But I guess you could say the way that I grew up was a blessing and a curse. But that's why when you ask someone the question, or if you could do it again, would you? The answer would always be yes because of the result that I got. But if you're gonna say that I could go back and be younger and keep my brain, I would be richer because I have more time and the knowledge to implement. But because I understand the rules and understand where I am in the market, When I see a low like this and a high like this, and I look over to my left and I see we're retesting under a low, that sounds like a rules of a downtrend. If I understand two makes a trend, three is confirmation, the trend was already confirmed. At this point, this is four, this is five. If the market wanted to, it could touch this trend line again. But that's what I'm saying. When the market decided to side, that's the direction it would go. It doesn't have to counter trend trade once it's decided to side. But it's like if they don't have a one track mind, they're going to say, they're going to convince themselves to do something opposite because they don't have control of their thoughts. And that's the issue. So every low is going to give me a reason to buy, but every low isn't a reason to buy. Sometimes it's a reason to sell higher. Every low in an uptrend is a reason to buy, but every single high in an uptrend is going to give you a reason to buy from a low point because the market's going to come down. Because people understand bungee jumping. Can you jump from the floor? You cannot. You can't. If there's a volcano, are you jumping? Well, you're jumping from a high point in the volcano, and the low point is the lava, and you getting burnt. And in a downtrend, people are getting burnt because they don't understand that they're only jumping into lava. You're not looking for a reason to go higher. You're looking for a reason to get away from the volcano at the end of the day. This is a situation with the cash versus like assets. Cash is assets because every single season is not an uptrend on assets. Therefore, it's a series of switching. Which asset would you like? Would you like this asset in companies, or would you like this asset in actual just USD, but you're holding the value of your dollar? Our power is we can buy or sell, but that's also our Achilles heel. We can buy or sell. Okay, what is the rules of a buy and sell? It's repetitive. It's repetitive. The issue and the trick on the world is it's repetitive. I like to make things easier though because I'm lazy. So I'll color code things and it's easier for me to see. I understand red and green candles. I see red and green candles, but I've been had the white candles so long. I've already had white candles in a season, but it was a matter of me collecting Pokemon balls, not knowing when to use it. But now this season I'm using the white candles again. It's only making my conviction higher because I've grown more as a person and as a trader over the years. Every single year, every single week, every single day, I'm looking for a reason to grow, but that's because I have so much free time. People think once you get money, you should retire and live your life and enjoy, but it comes from an aspect of it's always a thought and an idea to make something greater, but that's why assets will always go up. And the dollar itself is an asset at all times because it's a matter of these assets are coming down, this asset has to go up. This asset is going down. These assets have to go up. It's in a constant rotation. The rotation this time, since we understand we're in the mixed market, is this market was already similar to 2022 and 2018. 2018, I was a newer trader. It was really like my first year because I didn't even start until late 2017, that November. 2018 was already a mixed market, but I wouldn't have known what a mixed market was to even think about it. So then I go into 2022. 2022, I'm buying real estate. I'm dealing with property developments, firing contractors, all kinds of shit. At the end of the day, did I want to do that? No. What it's looking like now, does Naomi want real estate again? Fuck no, not right now, but maybe in 20 years, God gonna change my mind and renew my mind. Like, you do want some real estate some more. But when I was in real estate in 2022, people weren't paying their goddamn rent. But I know in 2017, 16, 15, I went paying my goddamn rent. It all comes full circle. But the only thing that changed is I'm still the same person. Now I'm just thinking more, I guess, differently because of the results. So it's just like Sniper Scope versus Infinity Loop. Sniper Scope was an S Corp. Infinity Loop is a C Corp. What's the difference between an S Corp and a C Corp? The C Corp, I get to eventually, if I want to in the future, I have room for growth. I can pay myself in shares. But what is the difference between a billionaire and a millionaire is the tax codes and how they're structured. But the way that I'm in a losing season this season in trading, I'm not in a losing season in business because not in business because of the way that I'm building. Like I'm building, but people didn't see me underground in the dark and not talking to nobody late at night. And I'm setting all of this up. But every single day from November to like June, July was a series of how do I make this product great? How do I build this system? Let me find coders. What is the idea? What do I want? What's the preview I see? Why can this be done? I don't know if this can be done. Oh, it can be done. It's a matter of adding a piece to the puzzle every single day, and people don't have the attention span or the consistency to want to even do something every single day because they graduate school and then they're like, oh, I don't have to learn no more. That's exactly what it is. They graduate school and they figure they don't have to learn anymore. But self education is going to make you a fortune because it's never ending. Because I think of it as Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk. They got way more money than me. But all the new technology that comes out, everyone will hop on Amazon and be like, oh, they got new products. Aubrey hopped on YouTube the other day and she saw that YouTube changed the likes, the thumbs up to the hearts, just like Instagram. She was able to articulate that to me. She was like, oh, they changed the hearts because she's not on Instagram, but she sees me on Instagram, like on my phone. So she sees the heart versus a thumbs up. And she sees YouTube as mimicking that. But that's a matter of playing a trick on people's mind because it's the same thing over and over again. They're just finding a new distraction because people's attention is the real currency at the end of the day. That makes sense?
Yes.
Perfect. But it's a you just gotta have a one track mind because I will find a reason every single day to quit. But in order for me to continue, I kind of play a game with myself because I kind of work in analogies to relate it to something of people that quit, they go into the forest, they go work out, they commit to doing the mile to work out, but then it's a matter of walking too far into the forest and then just staying there. Like, okay, I'm so tired. I cannot continue. I cannot continue. I'm just going to sit out here and live with the bears and the frogs. I'm not going to do that because I don't like bugs. So I'm going to go home and I'm actually going to get there quicker. But anytime people are on a road trip, that's exactly what it is. I built the system quicker than anyone else. And I had the thought process to keep going and the curiosity to build something no one's ever seen before because I'm lazy. So I'm like, oh, I want to be able to have my time, but I also want to be able to help. But how do I do both? Oh, can somebody hook up a trading account and then hook it to the Telegram? I've never seen that before, huh? Okay, well let me do that, huh? But if I could hook it up to a trading account to Telegram, couldn't I hook that up to a site and then everyone could see what the trades are? I wonder if that's gonna work. Let's do that too. Okay, how can I structure the course to where I never really have to speak again outside of like on the Zooms because it's a series of compounded knowledge day in, day out. They're going to always have to hear me speak over and over and over again. But really, the only person that's going to hear me speak time and time again, every single day, every single week to get the full effect would be Aubrey because she lives here. That's how my brain works. I'm just like, okay, let's break it down. I'm always going to continue to go because the bottom, you can only go up from there. Every single low, you can only go up from there. That's why when people know too much, they become a liability to you because it's never a source of how do they put value in you? How do they put money in you? You can only lose value and money because they're always going to be at a source of taking from you. And that's exactly what a high is giving you a reason to come down. And sometimes you help too many people in life and life gets a little bit lesser at the end of the day. But once you break out, and start finding like grounding in yourself and structuring your life a different way and learning to say no to people, then it's like, okay, now the uptrend can continue. But look, maybe you get married for 10 years and then you get divorced. Shoo! Then you find a new lady, start a new family. Shoo! And then something happened, unfortunately. Shoo! But then you find another lady, I guess. I had met a guy in Walmart. He was like higher up in Walmart, but I saw that he didn't work there. He definitely wasn't a manager there. They were there for like a special morning. He was telling me how his last two wives, the wife he have now, currently married, and then his past wife died of cancer. But he was like explaining the currencies of he still had to buy cows for his current wife's family. They're married in the USA, but her family does not recognize their marriage like in their country. So I just like, that's so crazy though. He said, but once you pay what this amount, then they're going to recognize the marriage. We get like a marriage certificate or whatever, so on and so forth. But that's how everything is. It's just a matter of cultural differences, but cultural differences and then time zones. So you got to add that on top of the knowledge. So if that makes sense, because it's like, if we're paying attention to different time zones and you're in Chicago, I started finding a way to track because I'm numbers. So at the end of the day, that's what I've been thinking about. So I was upgrading all the analytics because people don't show online that they're looking, but then when you go, 1,000 people looking at the site, it's like, then why don't I have 10,000 likes and comments? But it's a matter of they're still questioning if this is real because it's new. But because I understand their thought process, because I can see a buy and sell in every scenario, because I was once broke and now I've had money and had businesses and had a different sets of assets, I understand both sides. They're wondering if it works, but if I only showed them the good numbers, the big numbers, it wouldn't have had the same effect on the system of watching me start up an account, watching me blow an account. And time tells all, because this account, the same calendar that shows the blowing accounts every single day for each month, as it stacks, one day it's going to show the account challenge is complete, but I'm never hitting the button to like end the challenge, because I want my trading account to always be I guess a statue at the end of the day of this is what it looks like to continue to grow as a person and as a trader no matter what. Because I know me personally, I'm lazy, but two, I don't like looking fucking stupid. I've been looking stupid for a long ass time. But I also understand, because of analogies, I got the best fucking results. So if I gotta be a stupid bitch this season, then I'm just a stupid bitch. And I'm okay with that. Because one day I'm not gonna be one. I was like, we're not in a source of me having to prove something. I already proved it. So I'm just trying to do it again. And then I was just like, but think about it. Bad news spreads better, I mean, faster than good news, too. So it's just a matter of still growing your emotional intelligence, because we already know that we don't care about other people's opinion, but now it's just on a bigger level of not giving a fuck. I still have to have the same mindset, because I'm always going to be dealing with different people. But that's just like it was serving tables. I would work with people at the table on a aspect of a meal would take, say, 30 to 45 minutes. A large party would take like an hour and a half. All these years, 10 years later, I still remember that aspect. But do I remember each table that I approached, each conversation that I had? No. But every single hour, every half hour, every single day, some people will come multiple days a week. Some people I'll come once a month, and then some people I would never see again. That is what it was. But now I'm dealing with it on a C corp level. I don't think they have shares and stuff like that. I don't know how the restaurants, like their systems and approaches work with their structure, but that's because I'm not in the restaurant industry on the business side. So I don't know how they structure things, but I know, they were a big business, but now I am a big business. That's what I'm trying to say. But what is the difference between me serving tables at the same restaurant everybody else served tables at, and me owning a business and them still serving tables, is growth. But I only grew because I had no choice too. I got fired from Papa Dough because me and Justin fighting in the dining room, actually on goddamn Christmas Eve. And so I had favor in the managers knew my situation, so they really didn't want to fire me. But my ass, I was a badass little kid. And I wasn't even a little kid. I'm like 19, 20, 21. They understand the situation. They know I work hard. They know I take the bus and the train, and I leave 4 hours early, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, just to get there early or on time to work. But I knew if I left later than 5, 6 to get on the bus to take the train to take into Dallas to get on the bus to take the Papado, it would get me there early at like 9 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning. But if I missed one, it threw the entire day off, if that makes sense. So it's just like I understand that everyone has a different opinion, but it still comes back down to the result. Had I not got fired, and look, everybody looking at me like, bro, I remember what I felt getting fired from that job. I lost everything. So I'm over here jealous of these niggas. They got a job I didn't even appreciate. At the end of the day, I'm thinking people would come save me and help me because we're friends, right? Back in the day, and hang out and drink. But that's not the situation, because if I didn't have my shit together back then, and we all work at the same place, and we all hang out and drink together every night, they don't have their shit together either to even be able to save me and help me. Therefore, cause and effect, I lose all my shit. I'm finding a way to stop losing all my shit. I have to grow. Had my plan, I was making so much there at Papa Dough. All servers didn't make money like that at Papa Dough. I was making 6 figures, but I was able, I had common sense. I could write down the order and I could conversate at the end of the day. If I didn't get fired, I would have still been there because I was making so much money. Like 6 figures at 19, 20 years old. God snatched that shit away from me because I needed it snatched away from me. In the mix, I'm just like, I can't believe I lost my job. I wasn't even blaming God. I was blaming goddamn Justin. But Justin was the best thing that happened to me because his parents taught me how to drive. I didn't even know how to drive. His parents were the greatest assets to me. I was just always trying to make a point of I got the wrong brother. I got the evil goddamn twin. This one over here got a roofing company. This one over here take care of all his kids and very active in their life. This one over here make good decisions. Why did I get this? That's the question. Why is this happening? Why did I get this one? This is what's going on in business. Why did I get this one? Why is this happening? But you can say the same thing when I went to jail. Why am I going through this? Why is this happening? God wanted me to drop him. And since I couldn't convince myself to drop him either, look, he's like, okay, you don't want to drop him yet? You don't went to jail and everything? All right, he's going to whoop your ass. Now make a decision. But guess what? The blessing in disguise was I got my case dropped. I had to take an ass whooping to get a case dropped. It's a pretty difficult case. I'm just like, you know what? I think that was an even trade. And that's exactly what it come down to. What do you consider an even trade? Even though I'm looking crazy at 30 years old with the only system in the world like this. At 40, 50 years old, I'm not going to always have a $100 account loaded on this shit. It's sometimes going to be a $200K trade. Sometimes it might be a $100K trade, $1 million trade. The calendar's still going to show no matter what time period they look at. That shit is crazy.
So I just want to kind of reflect on my trading week last week.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so for oil, I started the week taking some sales on oil. And then I ended the week actually with a really good one. Actually, I took a buy
Good.
twice
Oh,
actually.
I
So
saw
from
that end of week buy on
yeah,
oil. I was like, God.
yes, I ended up I took the buy. And then I was doing Nas. I
That's
was doing
good.
Nas a little bit. I took some sales on Nas and then it ended the week on a buy. So
Good.
it was doing good there. And
Good.
then I think going into next week I'll be I'm gonna open the week up um selling EU and GU. So we'll see how
Good.
that goes.
Good. Yes. Because once you understand the relationship between the world and all the pairs, and then the world connection to the market is really easy. So you already know EU and GU are like cousins. People got cousins real life. They don't understand each market. They got cousins too. So it's about keep your mindset aligned. But yeah, you've been doing real good. So that's good. You'll only become a better trader every single time you stick to the one track mind and your approach, because as you gain success, you're gonna gain more conviction. And then as you gain conviction, it's only gonna get bigger and bigger and better from there on out. But even in seasons, say that we're not together, and something happens, you know to stay patient and stick to the plan because this is the result you've gotten using these rules. So then now it's just a matter of you having a consistent mindset at the end of the day to know that you've done this, you got this great result. There's people out here that work a job. I used to work a job. You used to work a job, like a regular 9 to 5 job, so on and so forth, of getting like an actual check. To where it's just like, does it all matter at the end of the day? Because just because the power goes out one day doesn't mean it's never going to come on again. And seasons are different, but you got to be the same person across different seasons, across different markets, across different asset classes. And that's what's going to keep you aligned. Because even learning Forex and crypto futures, you're going to be also, as you get stronger as a trader, you're going to be able to go into options and regular futures too. Because I'm not teaching just one, like a strategy is market structure and structure of the market. So it's just like, to me, once you cross into other platforms, everything I teach you is the same. The terminology is different. But terminology, even as like traders, everyone's terminology is different, but we're all saying the same thing. And that's the issue. They just changing, they're grabbing your attention with the dirty spaghetti to dirty rice. It's the same ingredients. Dirty rice was here first. They're acting like dirty spaghetti is new. But look, I've been cooking dirty rice for 2-3 weeks, and I would prefer that over dirty spaghetti. But dirty rice was always here. That's what different traders are doing. So people are, I could say to end it, they're in a carousel of information because somebody will be in a losing season. But when this person's in a losing season, they'll go to this person. This person in a losing season, they'll go to this one. This one in a losing season, they go to this one, just to end up back over here. And now they look and they're like, oh man, my trading never works out because you're doing this instead of staying here and toughening it out and taking it up. That's how it all works. So yeah, you're not in the carousel information. It worked out that you were a pretty new trader because it's like with traders that have experience, it's like a lot of bad habits to break. But it's like you can say that about me now. Like I try to stay self aware. I feel like I'm in a bad season because I know so much and I have a result. It's almost like I'm hard headed. But then I fix it when I regain control on, you know what, I'm not trading this week. Let me wait. Now I see what I want. Cool, perfect bet. The market looked good going into this week, so I'm excited. I can't wait.